Hey, hello, welcome everybody. This is Learn the Tech, show number 13 for April 19th, 2016. Today we're going to talk about how technology is used to spy on us. Sometimes we know about it, sometimes we don't. And it has lots of implications. Probably in history, we're now the society that is the most watched. We're not a society that is the most viewed on everything they do everywhere. And over that, law enforcement want to have an easier task at actually spying even more on our personal lives, which is pretty amazing. So I'm going to talk about that today, different ways of spying, and I think that's going to be an interesting show. So spying, there are all sorts of reasons to spy on people. There's all sorts of reasons why you might want to know more about somebody. In today's world, there are basically money is the number one reason. I mean, be it a pirate that has a keylogger in your computer or virus, checking out what you're doing, a website tracking you, and a lot more, but mostly money. Money is the number one reason. The reason that you want to get a bad guy or thieves is probably very, very far down the list for probably the majority of what we are checking and checking what you do every day in your lives. So have you ever wondered, just for the fun of it, every day, how many times you were spied on, knowing and not knowing? I'm a tech guy, so every time I go somewhere, I look and I check out, and it's like, is there a camera somewhere? Is there somebody watching me doing something? And as a tech guy, I know even more details of how everybody's spying on me using everyday technology, including our computers, our cell phones, and everything. And it's sometimes really scary because you think about it and you're like, man, really? Everybody wants to know a little something about you. So, first, of course, cameras. Cameras everywhere. And more cameras everywhere. Cameras to check what we're doing in the streets. Cameras to check what we're doing inside buildings. Cameras to check if we're, over the limit. They can take a picture of the license plate. Basically, cameras everywhere to check everything we do all the time for all sorts of reasons. Now, some are good, the idea that there's cameras in buildings to keep us safe from maybe terrorists that want to plant a bomb or something. I'm okay with that, or on the streets at places where, here we have a very level, I know a country like the UK, for example. I got a lot of viewers from the UK. I know that the UK is like the #1 place in the world for cameras everywhere. Here in Canada, it's not yet overused. I will put it like that, overused. But it's starting to get there, more and more cameras everywhere. And the problem is not that we use cameras for security reasons and stuff like that. It's okay, I think that's fine. I want to feel safe when I go somewhere. But has everybody ever wondered what happens with all that video of you and me everywhere we go? We have to hope that these places are honest and correct in what they want to do with that information. But I'm looking at a friend of mine has a bar, and that friend has installed, like high definition cameras, and it gets scary because when you look at the resolution of these pictures that the video takes, I mean, you can take out a credit card, you can take out something that's very small, and yet the security personnel can now almost read what's on that bit of paper or that credit card or whatever. And it's getting scary because, yes, the idea behind it, I probably think is it's just more secure to know more information about everybody. But what the hell are they doing with that information? And who tells me that, there's not one security guy that's kind of a bad guy, not a good guy, and using that information for, not really cool reasons, basically. That's something we have to think about for sure. But, that's everyday life. We go somewhere, we go downtown, we go to an office, we go to government offices. Of course, we will have cameras everywhere. And that's the first spying that basically we get on. That's for sure. Have you ever thought that your credit card, your debit card, all the cards you use, great, great, great tools to spy on you? And the reason why is that these track everywhere you buy something. These track everything you buy. They don't just know, that you bought something at a store, but sometimes if you went to a lingerie store, well, you didn't go there to buy, grocery. That's for sure. So, there's more details in these cards than we ever wondered. So they track every move. You spent the day, more and more today, people are using cards. Why? Because it's easy, Why get, $200 in my pocket when I got a card like this that I just, chip and pin? Who cares? And, throughout the day, I went to a restaurant, I bought some computer stuff. Hey, I bought a pair of jeans, and then I went to take a coffee, and then I got to this place where I got a few beers, and then go home. And if you look at that detail, basically the company, the bank, all these people know what I've been doing. And not just that, they know the type of person I am. In a survey, you're saying that a credit card usage can actually be used to very accurately pinpoint the type of person you are, and almost, to some point, almost what you do for a living. It's just incredible, the information that these cards actually take information about us. It's really, really crazy. Yet we use them all the time because it's practical. But there's even more scary stuff in cards. Anybody, I got one of those. Not only that, my credit card, one of my credit cards actually has air miles. Those reward programs. This is incredible. These reward programs. Ever wondered why they want to give you stuff? Hey, let's give you points for every time you buy $15 or $20 or whatever. We'll give you rewards. Another one of my cards is actually giving me cash rewards, cashback rewards. And it's like every now and then you see that cashback reward on the credit card. It's like on the bill. It's like, oh, we just refund you $50. And you're like, wow, these people are so nice. Well, there's a reason behind these things. A very good reason behind these things. These are tools made to track what you do in your life and your shopping habits. Shopping habits. And basically, they use that information. And you know why they give you these points? Because they sell these information to a lot of people. So these guys say, hey, we're going to give you free stuff. But they are selling that information at a very high price to companies everywhere. And you know what? Personally, I always think that we should not be part of programs like these because they clearly violate our privacy. They violate our privacy because they sell the information to people we don't even know who. And then we get offers of all sorts of things that are probably something that's interesting to you. But the problem is that information is, it's personal. It's us. It's what we do in every day, and it's what we do when we go shopping or everything, you know? It's just incredible when you look at what these programs try to do. And in the end, you know what? These aren't free, because the cards usually that give you these air miles or stuff, you pay for those in the price of everything you have every day. You pay for those in credit card fees of every kind. Does your credit card have an annual fee? If your credit card has an annual fee, you know that you're paying air miles with that fee in part. That's why I always say to people, you should not have these, because they raise the general price of everything. Plus, we're losing privacy because they know everything we do suddenly. You know, why should we get these cards? You know, people get lured by, oh yeah, but you know, I got this computer free of charge. I had enough air miles to get a computer. Oh, I traveled to France. Plane was free. And thanks to air miles. Was not. In everything you did, in every day you paid stuff. You paid from your pocket, plus the fact that they made a lot of money selling all that private information to everybody else. That's another way of spying on us, and you know, people don't think about it. Smartphones, aren't they great? You know, I'm so happy with my new Galaxy S7 phone here. Amazing little device, no? Amazing little device. Amazing little device to track everything we do. First, every time we call, you know, a lot of people don't use these to call anymore, but still, you know, as a tech guy, I use them to call my clients. I have my clients call me. They call me on this. And the thing is, this tracks you, because when you're making calls, there's triangulation being done all the time in between all the cell towers. So you're walking, you're not even making a call, you're just walking in the street. And you know what? That phone knows where you are all the time. That phone is following you everywhere you go. That phone, if you would look at all the information it got, would tell you, oh, that's what you did yesterday and everywhere you went. That's so cool. It is cool for some reason, but you know what? It's another form of spying. And this one is pretty much amazing, because it's technology that follows you. You know, cameras, yeah, okay, but you got to link all the cameras from all the places you went during the day. Credit cards, yeah, they track the different places you bought something. In between, you could have gone to China and back, and the credit card doesn't know that. Your air miles don't know that. Your phone does. Your phone knows you went to China and back. So it's one of the biggest tracking devices in the world, your phone. And your phone is identifiable everywhere, because when it logs to a cell tower, what it does, it gives ID information about its chipset, about the phone itself. You know, can I use this network? And that information from your cell carrier is linked to your account. They know you are, and they have your personal details of where you live. So basically, your cell company knows a lot about you and what you do every day and everywhere you go. But that's not their primary concern. They want to offer you a service. But you know what? What stops them from taking that information and starting to do more with it? So it's pretty amazing. We have willingly bought devices that we carry with us all the time, and that track her every moves every day. That's pretty amazing also when you think about it. Google Maps. Who hasn't used Google Maps? Hey, you're there. It's like, okay, where's the street? Where am I located? Okay, let's use Google Maps. Let's check Google Maps. And we're going to go to Google Maps, of course, because we want to see everything. And then, you know, it locates everything. That's so cool. It's actually telling me right now exactly where I am on a map in a little dot there. Tells me where I live. That's amazing, no? That's so useful and that's so incredible, no? Problem is that not only your phone now tracks you through your cell network, but when you're using Google Maps, you're also sharing now location and information about yourself to a third-party company. In this case, Google. Maybe you're using Apple Maps. You're sharing your information with Apple. You're even sharing information with other companies that have something to do with the map process. And now Google, even more if you have a Gmail account and everything's logged in correctly, like I do on this phone, now Google knows what you do everywhere you go. Oh, there's some useful stuff. You can say, hey, Google, what's the nearest sushi restaurant? I do that all the time. Hey, I want to eat pizza. Oh, there's a pizza place just, you know, not even 5 minutes from where you are, and it's rated 4 stars. That's useful and that's cool. But did you ever think that now Google knows that I eat pizza, I like sushi, it knows that I'm going a lot around town, so it's wondering, what are you doing? You're always going around town. Of course, I'm a tech guy. I move around and I go around a lot. But that's a lot of information we're giving to a company. You know, Google's motto is do no evil, which I believe to a certain point. I don't think Google wants to do bad, but what do we really know? It's very secretive. I mean, you know, people are complaining about Microsoft, how secretive, and how Windows 10 spies on us and everything by sending data. And but nobody's complaining that every day in their lives on their phone, they're sending a whole lot more data and a lot more information about themselves to Google than to any other company in the world because of these devices and because of the way these things are designed. You know, it's just amazing. People don't think about that. They just say, hey, this is so useful. Yeah. Apps. You know what? One of the biggest problems that I have with privacy and spying on me is when I install an app in my phone and when I click to start using it, a game, oh, you got to agree to all of this. And you start reading, what am I agreeing to? Because nobody reads that. Everybody says, oh, okay, I want to play that game. I don't care. Have you ever thought that when you click, I agree, most apps, what you agreed on is, I want to share my location. Oh, suddenly Candy Crush knows where I am. Now you're thinking, who cares? Well, could be important. Why the hell would Candy Crush want to know where I am? Why does Candy Crush ask for permission for that? You're playing your favorite Scrabble game. I don't know. Oh, yeah, really? It wants to have access to my friend list and my contacts. I'm sorry, but my contacts are in my phone, and my phone is my phone. And I don't even show my contacts to my friends because I don't want my friends to see other friends. It's my personal phone. But I'm not giving that to my own friends. You know, the only thing I'm going to do is, yeah, you're in my list, you know? But, you know, it can be difficult sometimes. It could be that, you know, your friend doesn't know you're a friend with somebody else. Can make frictions. But yet, I don't show this to anyone, but I'm okay to click, yeah, I agree. Here, all my contacts, take them. Take them. It's just incredible because apps are probably the worst privacy nightmare of a phone. And I'm still amazed at what you have to agree on. And you know, as a tech guy, I'm going to be honest with you. Many games, I've looked at what they asked and I just declined. And of course, if you decline, you can't play the game because you're a bad guy. You said no to what we want. But think about it. Sharing your contact list to play a game on your phone? What the hell is that? Even in the Windows Store, it happens. You download a game or an app in the Windows Store and it says, oh, I want to see your contacts. I want to see your, sign into Facebook. I want to see all your friends and share that information. It's like, that's way too much information. That's, you know, I'm amazed that nobody says nothing about that. I am completely going nuts over everybody giving that access. You know what? Think about another thing. Think about the guy or the girl on the other side. Say you don't want to have your information shared with a company, but your best friend, because he or she plays a game, has agreed that her contacts are shared. So your personal info by your best friend or your spouse suddenly gave personal details about you without even asking your permission. It's all because it's on the phone or it's on Facebook. You know, we got to think farther away here. This is getting out of hand. This is getting dangerous. And you know what? When there is an app or a game, we should all, and I did many times, write emails and say, why the hell do you want to have my contact list? That's not normal. I don't want you to have that. And we should all uninstall and stop playing games that ask too many details like this. You know, there's a limit to the amount of data that everybody could share. This is amazing all the time. Free Wi-Fi. Free Wi-Fi. That's so cool. Everybody's looking for free Wi-Fi. You know what? Every time I go to the karaoke bar for a beer, I don't know how many times somebody comes in and says, oh, do you have free Wi-Fi? Oh, yeah, okay, I'll have a beer. And you know what? I never connect to free Wi-Fi. Never, never, never. I connect to the Wi-Fi on my phone when I use a computer. That's my little private network. That's my network. Nobody else sees what I do with here, except, of course, my carrier, my cell provider. But it's much better than a free public Wi-Fi, because free public Wi-Fi means that suddenly not only are you giving details, because a lot of these public Wi-Fis keep some information on you, they also know more details than you think. You know what? One of the things that people never think, and an example of that is one of the companies or a little restaurant where I installed a free Wi-Fi spot, was wondering why his internet bill was so high. And so, of course, somebody was squatting its internet. and huge amounts of data were downloaded every day. And you look at the log in the router, and it's like, yeah, there's a guy called Ahmed. You know what, Ahmed? And first thing he says is, well, that's my neighbor just upstairs. Ah, well, he's downloading gigabytes a day on your connection. So notice now that I know it's Ahmed. Why? Because when you log in with your computer or with your phone, you have to ID yourself on your computer or your phone. You have your name. So for example, my iPhone or my Galaxy S7 phone, I always give a nickname every time. Okay, my nickname is Tech Guy Montreal. Tech Guy Montreal. I never give my personal name. So everybody looks and says, oh, Tech Guy Montreal. I even, for the fun of it once, ID'd my computers and my phone with my business phone number for a tech guy. And I would call it Tech Guy and then have the number. So people would see that and say, oh, it says Tech Guy with a phone number. And you would be surprised, I got a few calls from people saying, hey, I saw that in a log or in a computer somewhere. Yeah, of course. And I did it on purpose. And then you see people call you and you're like, really? So somebody is watching that information. So you know what? Your computer and your phones are easy to identify in a Wi-Fi hotspot. Not counting that if that Wi-Fi hotspot has a lot of people there, somebody else can be spying on you around you. Somebody can be sniffing the packets of the router if there's no password, or simply using specialized software to try and get into other people's computers and see if they can steal personal information. You know, Wi-Fi hotspots are extremely dangerous, and I never use them. But for quick surfing, you know, I just want to see something. Yeah, sure. But you know what? You'd rather pay a little more and have more data and just surf the web on your phone than having to do it through a free Wi-Fi hotspot, that's for sure. But it's amazing the information you get from these places. Your IP address. The famous IP address that we all have, because you can't go on the internet without an IP address. It's impossible. Your IP address is like your home address. There's only one in the world. So your home address, if somebody writes with, you know, the postal code and everything, it's not complicated. You are identified at a specific spot in the world. The IP address is the same thing. It's your own address on the web. And it is linked to your postal address. Got one for you there. Yep. The IP address is linked to your home address. So you can go to a website, enter your IP address, and your address, your postal address will pop up, except for a little detail. Some people have a little more information than others. If you live in a bungalow or a small house, just one house, you will be identified because that small house will have its address. If you're like me and you live in an apartment complex, that's a little more complicated because it misses one crucial information, your apartment number. So somebody will pop up but will not know out of the 12 or 6 apartments which one is the tech guy. Yet, that IP address also can be used for tracking because, of course, sometimes there could be some problems in knowing where exactly it is, but your ISP, your internet service provider, knows who you are. So basically, that IP address is used because if you do bad stuff on the internet, download on torrents. You know, when you download on torrents, for all of those using torrents, you are giving your IP address to a bunch of people. And that's how, if you download illegal movies And then you get this notice, hey, you downloaded illegal movies. You know, here in Canada, here in the companies here, even in Quebec, Montreal, I've had a few people have letters saying, hey, you've downloaded illegal music, illegal movies. And they're like, well, how'd they know this? Well, because you went to a torrent site, and that IP, or your IP, was on the torrent site. And in the torrent sites, one of the ways that they're spying on you is that the companies that make the software, the companies that make the music, the companies that make the movies and the TV shows, you know what? They install their own bots there. That bot is not sending the real thing, but it's saying, oh, I've got, you know, the latest Star Wars movie here. And it's just going to steal your address, steal your IP address. There's even bots that you don't even have to log into. What they'll do is they'll simply be part of the network of torrents. And you know what? They'll just log all the IP addresses that were on that torrent download. And the reason they know it's you is because what they do is they go to law enforcement, and the law enforcement will say to the ISP, because the first part of the address gives the information of who it is, then the ISP will say, oh, well, that IP is this guy, and he lives here. And so the police now knows everything, and everybody will know everything, and they can sue you, they can do whatever. Torrents are dangerous for that. Yeah, you can protect yourself using VPNs, but don't think that they are totally safe. Okay, VPNs, if somebody wants to track you down, I can bet you that a VPN is not necessarily 100% secure. It's secure for the basic stuff. When you're doing something bad, but it's not worth taking a huge amount of resource to find you. Cookies. You know, this is a question I get asked very often as a tech guy. Are cookies dangerous? They're not dangerous in the way of your computer can get infected, or your computer can have viruses, or no, that's nothing has to do with that. But cookies are part of your browsing. Every site, every website you go has what we call cookies, or more accurately, tracking cookies. And why is that? Because on a website, when you get on the page, there's the ads, there's the website itself. All of these little players, the ads, everything, they're all planting little cookies here and there. They're also scanning your cookies. So every website you go, pretty much everything. I can't even imagine a website that doesn't track you. What it does, it scans the cookies. And it sees that, oh, today you've been shopping for shoes because you went to these stores and you asked for shoes. You know, it happens to me often. I go to a website and I check for computer stuff. Example, I bought a case for my phone. I found a nice case that I wanted, bought it online. Should I have it this week? Since I did that, Facebook has these ads about Galaxy S7 phone cases. Everywhere I go, there's ads of cases for phones. It's just incredible. You see the power of these cookies. This is a very, very pure tracking. Now, there's a good and a bad side about tracking cookies. You know, the good side is, of course, if I am to see ads on a website, I'd rather have ads about something I'm going to buy or possibly interest me than, say, having ads of lipstick I don't wear lipstick. um, I don't want to have lipstick ads. I don't care for lipstick ads. And I would rather have, oh, really, this place sells these nice cakes for phones. Let's click and check it out. So there's the good side to it is that the ad is generated with your own information. But that's spying. It's a form of spying. They're looking at what you do in order to place an ad. So they are spying on you. Of course, they're spying on you everywhere. And you know what? The average website will have 15 to 25 different tracking stuff added to your computer, scanned through your computer of all sorts of little details to try to know more information about your habits and what you actually do. Incredible. Lots and lots of spying on the websites. Pretty cool, no? And of course, people say, well, maybe I should turn off cookies. Problem is, if you turn off cookies, a lot of websites won't work anymore. Cookies are essential parts of a lot of the websites. So if you go on a website, very often if you turned off the cookie tracking, it's going to say, well, your cookies are off. There's another bad side to turning off cookies, is that cookies are also used to remember what you did last time you came to the website. So for example, if you go to a website and have a username, a password, and all sorts of details, all of these are in cookies. So basically, not a password, but a lot of the information that the website needs to know what you do. You go on your favorite news website. In the morning when I go to some of my websites, I like cookies because it's like, oh, you want to go to the tech news section to learn more about tech because, of course, I got to read about tech news if I want to make my news bulletin. So it's cool. Cookies are used here in a good way. Oh, you want to go to the tech news section. But they're used for spying, unfortunately. It's part of the way that the internet is made. Spying on you to know more details about your habits. Once again, for commercial gains, for money, because they simply want to make more money off of you. Google, that fantastic search engine. Yeah. Well, problem is, beneath that nice looking search engine in that little box under Google is the biggest advertising company in the world. You know what? Google is not a search engine. It's, we want to know a lot about you to make money. And they've done it extremely well because they're making billions. Thanks to what? Everything you do with them, including watching this show. I mean, I am part of this network because you're watching a show on my YouTube channel that is monetized with ads from Google. So I'm a big part of all of that big, ad network, basically. But Google is an ad network. They ain't they're not making money at all on search. Nope. They're making money on ads. And how can they make money on ads? Well, of course, by knowing what you search for. So yeah, the Google search is amazing, brings you to everywhere you want. But Google keeps track of 6 months of everything you search for. Everything you search for. 6 months. Imagine, Google knows the last 6 months of everything you search for. If, for the guys there, porn sites you went to, yeah, Google knows about that. The good things you went to, Google knows about that. It knows everything. It knows you a lot. Google knows you more than Anybody probably knows you in your personal life because, you know, Google has one other side that's interesting is that you're at home alone. We all will search for things that we were too shy to ask about. We were going one day to search for things that we don't want to talk about. You know, an example that I don't care sharing is I've been diagnosed with high blood pressure. And of course, I haven't really talked much about that. I'm not the kind of guy that likes talking about, you know, health problems or stuff. So you know what? Of course, I'm using Google, but then you get these, you know, you go to these websites and then you get these ads of doctors and, you know, this is the medical journal for blood pressure and whatever, you know. That's how Google makes money. And, you know, that's how most of the internet works. You know, we always have these ad blocks, people talking about ad blocks. You know, I understand that some websites go overboard on ads, but I don't use an ad block. I'll never use one. If you think you're wise using an ad block, you should think about the fact that your favorite content, say tomorrow morning there's ad blocks, to the extent where YouTube doesn't monetize because there's no ads that are viewed anywhere. I like making these, but one of the reasons I can make these is because the monetization gives me the possibilities to take a day off on Tuesdays to entertain everybody with a live show and a live I answer your questions. Remove monetization tomorrow, no more money hunters. It's not that I don't want to do them, but that Tuesday that I make my live shows, I'm going to have to work as a tech guy instead because I won't be paying the rent. And that's something that a lot of people don't think about. There's a big impact and a big implication in using ad blocks. But, you know, Google, probably the biggest spy of all on the internet. It's pretty amazing. Do not track. You know, some of you probably thought of that while I was talking about cookies and everything. And yeah, there are do not track stuff. You know, our browsers, including Edge, Internet Explorer, Chrome, Get, they all have a do not track button that you can, it's like a slider that you can turn on or off. And the thing is, do not track is meant to stop websites from, you know, looking at our personal stuff and trying to make a profile out of what we do every day and, you know, send ads through that. But the problem is that the do not track is based on a very huge factor. When you turn on do not track in your browser, it works only for websites that agreed that they would follow the rules of, if you don't want me to track you, I will not track you. And that means pretty much nobody. So it's, you know, an invention that's not useful because you got to get that website to say, yeah, I don't want, okay, that's okay. You don't want to be tracked. I'm going to stop tracking you starting now. And it's okay. So, you know, these are not necessarily useful, that's for sure. What could be spying on you that's extremely bad? One of the things that can be spying on you that's extremely bad is viruses and keyloggers. This is the bad guy on the internet doing something to spy on you. It not just is a bad guy, it could even be a government agency. It could be a government or a police force that wants to know something about you without your knowledge. So the bad guys have one way of spying on you on the internet, and it's keyloggers. What's a keylogger? It's very, very simple. They inject a little piece of software. You have no idea. You don't see it. It doesn't interfere with what you do every day. Yet, it's sending out everything you type on your keyboard. Everything. Every single letter. And the keylogger has one major advantage over a lot of viruses and stuff, is that when it's encrypted, the keylogger doesn't care. It's not looking at the data coming out of your computer. It's looking at each physical key that you are actually typing on your keyboard. So it gets everything. And this is run through programs that will simply know when you were typing credit card information, address, name, expiry dates. You know what? They're going to get all the detail and they're going to steal from you. Your passwords, your usernames, all of that can be logged with a keylogger. And you know what's worse? Some of them are so hard to detect that there's a good chance that you can have one and your antivirus will never say anything. And yet you're being spied on somehow. And of course, it could be a bad guy stealing your credit card, a bad guy stealing your stuff. It could be a government looking at the emails you're typing, you know, what you're sending out. That's another thing about privacy. Emails are the worst privacy problem for information because they're not encrypted. Email is sent point to point exactly as it is, as a text. You have no privacy. It's like sending a letter from one place to the other by mail, but you just kept the envelope open. Somebody that wants to see what's inside will do it, will see it. And so, you know, there's a lot of bad things out there. I hope I'm not scaring you guys too much because you're seeing how everything is tracking us and everywhere it's tracking us and everything that can be done without our knowledge to be tracked. It's scary, of course, when you think about it. Facebook. You know, after Google knows more about you in your habits and who you are as a person, but Facebook has an enormous advantage over all the websites. It actually knows personal details about you a lot more. It knows your name, it knows your personal information, your birthday, it knows your personal friends. Have you ever noticed? You're on Facebook, you communicate with your friends, your 10 best friends, or your 5 best friends, or your 3 best friends. After a few days, you start noticing that it pops up, oh, well, you know what? You may know this person because they linked, oh, because that person is friend with these 3 or these 5. So it's possible that you might know, basically, that person. It's incredible how Facebook has the most personal information about you of all the websites. So Google knows your habits, knows your shopping habits, knows who you are by the websites you visit. Facebook knows you personally. It's almost like knowing you from the inside. It knows who you are, what you do, who your friends are. It's just an amazing platform of personal information. And to make it more scary is that this has a lot more personal info. You know, I was complaining earlier at how apps on this were asking for your contact list. This is even scarier because now you're playing Candy Crush on this. And that Candy Crush asks for your friends list, which has a lot of details of who you are. What's scary about Facebook? It's that we don't know that much about what they do, about what we, the information they have about us. But you know what? They were saying that the average Facebook user, if I'm not mistaken, Facebook makes something like $33 for every Facebook user. They make $33 on me, because I'm a Facebook user, with the details and the information I give them. And that's an average. Some people it's more. Why? Because they just have so much info. Facebook is the biggest spying company for the personal stuff of who you are. You know, those status that you put up, it's very personal. It tells you, you know, sometimes I'm mad. I'll post something that I'm mad about something. And man, Facebook knows that. That was just my friends. Facebook knows a lot of stuff. And then you start linking your Facebook with everything you do and using this with Facebook. And now what do you have? Not only do you have a spying machine that knows your personal details, your intimate details, you got a spying machine that knows your intimate details and follows you everywhere you go. So it knows everything you do, and it will, you know, it's just incredible. This is like almost like having your mother following you around everywhere you go all the time, 24 hours a day. And even then, I'm sure Facebook knows a lot more about you than your own parents probably ever knew. Amazing. That's really called spying. Yet, it's disguised into, hey, we're a friendly website where you will see friends, you will find your old pals, and it's just going to be cool. How amusing. Why not come and join so that you can find all of your friends? Yeah, right. But all the information that's asked, you know, why do you think Facebook doesn't want you to use a fake name? A friend of mine used a fake name, and he got his account blocked after a few years. And they said, look, we need to have proof of your identity. Of course they do. They don't want you to use a fake name. They want to make sure you are the real deal, the real person. That's for sure why they don't want you to use a fake name. They sell that information to tons of companies. When you play a game or when you interact with Facebook and it asks you, do you want to share your friend list? Do you want to share that with others? You know, imagine, just think for a second of all the personal information you are giving out, not about just you, but your friends. I always say, even though you should not, I always say, you want a Facebook account? Why don't you lie a little bit? You don't have to give your real birthday. They don't know. They'll never ask. Well, they will if your account is stolen, but try to remember the fake. You know, I've got a fake birthday that I use on a lot of websites. And it's always the same, so that I can easily remember if I go to a website and it asks me for my birthday and I enter the real one and it's like, oh, it's not that. Oh, I use my fake birthday. And I know what it is because I always use the same one. So I know as much and I remember as easily my fake birthday than my real birthday because I always use the same one. You know, there are things like that that can kind of counteract the fact that Facebook is way, way, way too much. But you know, I find that people are just so incredible at just being, you know, open. People will give their personal details and they're like, what the hell? You know, you gave all of that to a website that you don't even know what they actually do with your personal detail. Pretty cool. Spying at another level. Governments, National Security Agency, the NSA. You know, we learned a lot about the NSA, really a lot. And basically, these spying from these agencies is the worst spying around because, yeah, Facebook, Google, all these companies, they aren't necessarily telling us much about what we do, but they're asking our permission very often to do something with our personal info. They are very often, you know, telling us, well, if you want to delete or not be part of, you know, on Google, for example, I told you there's 6 months of personal info of your searches. Well, if you have a Gmail account, you can actually go on the Gmail account and ask that you remove. You can actually ask to remove the 6 months of tracking, and they're going to delete it. But it's pretty amazing. This agency is one of the worst in the world, but I'm sure that a lot of the agencies, including in the UK and here in Canada, are probably not much better. They not only don't ask for anything, but they take the right to spy on you. And they spy at different levels. So they will take a network and will get all the data and try to get all the information they can from there and try to link that with everybody and everywhere all the time. They tap on global networks basically everywhere, and every, you know, where there's a pipeline going into the United States, for example, because you got to know one thing about this is that the data, the information sent around the world, even though you're in France and you are asking for information from a website in the UK, don't think that it's direct and it's just that. There's a good chance that it will be redirected, sent through, pass through the United States, and then go to the UK and France. And, you know, it's just so fast that you don't even see it. But they grab that information at the same time. So, you know, that is something that we need to do something about in every country. They are using terrorism as the main idea behind we should be, you know, spying on everybody because, you know, we'll not do bad things. We're just going to use that to have you stay safe. The problem is it's not clear like that. And, you know, that personal information is not for them unless they have a court order. There's a thing called a court order where you can ask for information, and I'm okay with that. But you can't just take everybody and think that everything's going to be safe. One of the greatest examples I always give out, I'm a shortwave listener. I send letters everywhere in the world. I receive letters from pretty much every country in the world, including Iran, Syria, you know, the USSR in the 80s. And you just got to think, somebody in here might have seen that and say, well, there's this guy in Montreal that's receiving letters from, you know, Iran and Syria and Iraq. I think he's bad. I think we should put him on the list. I didn't do anything wrong, but that's how idiot it can be. And that's how somebody that has nothing bad, never done anything bad, can be in trouble, can be barred access somewhere in the world, in a country, because they have information like that. And it's just so stupid because it got nothing to do with bad stuff. And don't think it doesn't happen. It really does. And that's why to stop or to make the spying as minimal as possible, we have to continue having encryption. It's extremely important to have encryption. Encryption will ensure that our lives are at least the, you know, minimum of spying possible. Of course, we'll continue having spying with the apps, with Facebook, and with the stuff that we do, but we have a control over that. If you know they are spying, there's a certain control you can actually exert on that. So basically, you can lie in Facebook. You can, change properties in certain apps and stuff, and say, well, no, I don't agree to this, and I won't play this game, and that will lower the amount of information that everybody. You know what? One of the things that I wanted to do is I don't have it here, but my iPhone. I wanted to erase everything in my iPhone and create kind of a fake identity in my iPhone and have no contacts or nothing, so that when I want to download a game, it just has no relevant information that it can share or steal from me. And like that, I can play a game that has too much information with fake information, stuff like that. There are things we can do with that, but there are parts of the spying that we can't do anything about, except we can protect ourselves with encryption. And I think that's important that we keep that. I get the debate with encryption, with terrorism and everything is a mixed debate of all sorts of things. And, like I always say, we're walking a thin line. We have to understand some of our privacy is given away in exchange for useful stuff. Like I said earlier, I'd rather have ads about something that I like than have lipstick ads. Well, I'm giving away part of my privacy in exchange for something that's more relevant to me. So there's something that we all can do to lower the spying maybe on our personal lives and our friends' lives, because by interacting with everybody, like with Facebook and everything, we do share. Another thing, want to stop spying on you with cars and stuff? Why don't you go back to cash? You know what? I use a lot of cash, much more than probably the average person. Why? Because first, it prevents you from loading your credit card and having to pay big interest rates and everything. But you know what? That's not tracked. Nobody knows you used your $100 bills or $50 bills somewhere. There's no tracking done with that. So, there are different ways to protect yourself. Be vigilant. Spying is everywhere, and we got to do what we need to do to prevent that too much of our personal life is actually spread everywhere. So you know what? What I have to say here is every time you use your computer, every time you use your smartphone, you download an app, you do something, you're on Facebook and you want to share or you want to like a page or whatever, think of the implication of this and how it could affect not only your life, but everybody else's life. I hope you enjoyed today's show. It's already over. Learn the Tech Show, number 13 for April 19, 2016. We have subjects every week that are from you. If you have a subject for our show, leave a comment below the video. Send us an email at helpwithyourcomputers@gmail.com. Next week, we're going to talk about virtual reality and what actually is it. How can it change our lives and maybe change our future? So we're going to talk about virtual reality. Once again, a subject submitted by a viewer like you. Thanks, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you're not too scared with all this spying stuff that I talked about. But I think it's nice that we have more knowledge. The more knowledge we have about this, the better we'll be with our own privacy, with our friends' privacy. Take care, everyone. See you next week. Your questions, my answers, the tech show, the live tech show at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's 1900 Universal Time. And Learn the Tech, 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 2200 hours Universal Time. Take care. Have a nice week, everyone.